Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to ReZero Season 2, Episode 9. So, I want to start off by bringing up something I might have brought up last week, but I don't remember. I forget things like you wouldn't believe. It's sometimes amazing how easily I can forget things, especially if I've brought up something. But if I didn't, I had been thinking lately about, do I want to take a break in the middle of this season and watch something else and then come back to this? The reason for which would be kind of twofold. One, the actual anime itself did this. Like, the season 2 is actually split up into two separate cores that were aired separately. So it wouldn't be out of the question to do this for the reactions too. It wouldn't be like a completely out of nowhere choice. The second option is I don't know where this is going to go, but this arc for me with the sanctuary has been boring for the most part. All the stuff in the sanctuary I don't care about as much. I want to see Amelia pass the trial and everything, and I want to see these people freed, sure. But in general, it's just not as interesting as like the stuff happening at the mansion. Like when they brought that stuff in, it's like, oh, well, this is infinitely more exciting than anything else that's been happening lately. It's like I want to see more of Elsa. I want to see more of Frederica. I want to see more of that shit. Beatrice, especially, with the big reveals they seem to be getting ready to do with her. I want to see that kind of stuff. I don't care about all this stuff with Garfield. Like, it's not that interesting. And, and it feels like they're dragging it on, too. Because it feels like this stuff with Garfield and everything, and this entire thing with the tests and everything, it just feels like it's dragging. Like it just doesn't need to be lasting this long. And it's like, the season 1 didn't really do that. Like, don't get me wrong. Season 1 could have arcs that lasted a bit. Like the final arc, I believe, lasted quite a bit of time in season 1. But they didn't feel like they dragged. Like, it didn't feel like it's the pacing, I guess. They felt like they were continuously moving and like things were continuously happening, and it all felt like it just wasn't dragging on. And for a series where the character keeps dying and coming back and having to basically restart the kind of situation over and try to do things differently so he or others don't die again. It's like for a series about that, it's like it's kind of impressive that in season 1 it didn't drag. But the fact that it didn't makes the fact that it's dragging now much more apparent. Because it's like, we've had like 2 confrontations at the mansion with Elsa and them. And we're presumably going to be going into a third sometime soon. And it's just like, it just feels like that should be the focus right now rather than the stuff at the sanctuary. So the fact that it's like been putting on this stuff with Garfield and everything now, and it's just like, I don't care. I don't care about that stuff as much. And I'm not saying it's like outright bad. It's just so drastically more boring than the other stuff that it's not exciting to watch. It's not fun to watch. So because of this, I think that it's also a good idea I take a break between the first and second core of this season. That'll allow me to refresh myself and come back to season 2, core 2 on a much better note. I won't be as irritated by things. And I don't know, as I said before, where core 1 is going to end. I don't even know if it's going to actually have an end, or if that and core 2 are just going to like be like directly like, oh, we just basically took a break for a few months, and it's like, oh, we're back and continuing exactly where we left off. Nothing is like really different or anything. I don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to be like that or not. But I think it's going to be a smart decision. So that being said, I believe there's 26 episodes total. So I assume that core 1 ends after episode 13. You know, I could probably check right now. I could just go on my anime list. Because I have that on there, so it should tell me like how many episodes are in this core, because they're actually listed separately on my anime list. Yeah, there's 13. There's 13 in core 1. I don't know how many are in core 2, because it doesn't say, because I don't have that on my list right now. But there's 13, so after today's episode, there will be 10, 11, 12. There'll be like 4 more episodes. I don't know what I'm going to replace ReZero yet. But I'll figure that out as we get closer. We might do multi-episode reactions as well for the next 2, since we have 4 episodes left. We might just do two episode reactions. I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out. Just kind of determining like where I'm at after this episode, maybe. But yeah, so last time like we got stuff with basically Subaru, Ram, and why is his name escaping me? The other kid whose name I cannot think of right now for some reason. But they were trying to escape the sanctuary to go back to the mansion and all. Garfield ended up trying to stop them. He turned into a monster, basically killed everyone. So yeah, fun times. Well, actually, I think Subaru managed to escape because of the pendant glowing, and he was transported somewhere. Then he was killed by a bunny. Well, actually, a bunch of bunnies. And then he appeared before Echidna. I believe that's what happened. And I think they were making a deal where where he was like, he wanted to remember Echidna when he went back into his world. Well, his world, you know what I mean. When he went back there, he wanted to be able to remember her from now on. And she seemed to kind of be getting flustered as they talked and everything. Like, I think she might have a thing for him. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, so we're probably gonna start off either with him getting back, kind of, coming back from death again, returned by death. And oh, and speaking of, he actually got to say something about that to someone. He actually got to verbalize that he returns by death. He got to tell Echidna that, and it broke him in a way, in a good way. He broke down because he finally got to tell someone. It's something he's tried to tell people before, but was literally physically stopped by magic. It literally would not let him reveal it. But he just got completely unfettered chance to just talk about it to Echidna, and it just was such a big, powerful moment for him. So yeah, there's that as well. So yeah, like this episode's probably going to either start like when he returns by death again, or he's still going to be there. He might still be with Echidna beforehand. One of the two, easily. I assume his save point is still the same, so he'll still come back after the trial. He knows what not to say to Gar and the one lady. I don't remember her name either, but he knows what not to say to them now. So hopefully that'll stop them from becoming too aggro with him. We'll see. But I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. I'm just hoping it focuses a lot more again on the mansion stuff. I want to know the info about Beatrice. I want to know the info about what's going on with Elsa and how they're going to stop her and everything. It's just that's what I care about right now in this series. Um, and I don't know if I'm the only one here. I might be, but there might be some other people who are feeling the same way. But it's like, yeah, it's the other stuff has just been dragging a little. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's become unbearable, but it's just noticeable at the moment. So, in the meantime, we're just gonna get this started. We're gonna hope for the best and see where this episode takes us. And yeah, I'll determine at the end here how we're going to sort out the last 4 episodes of this core and everything. And we'll kind of go from there. So, in the meantime, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Holy fuck. Like, in the pre-thoughts, I was talking about how the sanctuary stuff has been not that interesting. How the stuff with the mansion and whatnot has been more interesting. Has been the stuff that I wanted to see more of. We didn't see either, really, in this episode. Instead, what happened was the most interesting we've had probably this entire season, outside of maybe the mystery surrounding Beatrice and just getting to see her emote a lot more. I might as well just call this the witch episode. And I mean, forget all the others. We fucking got Satella. Like, built up since the beginning of this series. The Witch of Envy has been kind of one of the driving forces behind ReZero. Presumably, the reason Subaru's in this world in the first place. Like, obviously, the one who has the spell on him for reverse by death, or return by death, rather, and the one keeping him from telling anybody about it. The one who is the reason why half-elves are discriminated against, and especially why Amelia is so looked down upon. Satella, the Witch of Envy, again, has been one of the driving forces running things in the background of this series, controlling things. And I will be honest, I'm shook. I did not expect her to appear anytime soon. I didn't expect her to even appear in this season, at all. Like, the most we've seen of her are just these tiny little brief glimpses, and it's like that's all I thought we were going to get for a long time. Like, Satella's pretty much been built up as like kind of the final boss of this series, the main big bad. So I thought it was going to take a long time to actually reveal her. And once we found out about all these other witches, it's like, yeah, I think we're going to periodically see the different witches, get to meet them, and then eventually Satella will be the final one. But no, that's not the case. Like, outside of Satella, we've only met 4. So 5 total. There's 2 of the 7 deadly sins we have not met yet. 2 of the witches we have not met. So the fact that she is straight up fucking there. The fact that she is just there. Just blatantly in front of him when he returns by death. Actively attacking and going towards the mansion and everything. It's like, it is the biggest moment in the entirety of this series so far. Both seasons. Without a question. This is the single biggest moment so far of this series. But let's talk about everything that happened beforehand. So, we did continue off with Subaru still talking to Echidna, and she brings up the idea to meet with the Witch of Gluttony, because the Witch of Gluttony is the one who created the 3 great Maybeasts. The white whale, who we saw in season 2, the great rabbit, who we see now in, or the white whale we saw in season 1, sorry. The great rabbit we now see in season 2, and the black serpent, who we have not seen anything of yet. And so, apparently Echidna, in this space, this kind of like pocket dimension, I guess you would call it, can switch places with any of the other, the spirits of the other witches, who are all dead because Satella killed them all, but their spirits still reside there, and she can switch places with any of them. So Subaru agrees to have her switch places with Daphne, the Witch of Gluttony, but apparently another witch, the Witch of Pride, just kind of jumps in the way, and it's like, nope, me first. Like, when Typhon first appeared, I thought it was supposed to be Daphne. Like, she didn't say she was Typhon. She didn't say anything about it. It just like... But something was off, because it's like she wasn't restrained. Like, Echidna specifically said that Daphne would be restrained and not to release the restraints. And also not to touch her. Which, I don't think Subaru knew that wasn't Daphne at first. So when he grabbed her hand, it's like, Subaru, we know you're an idiot, but are you that much of an idiot? You were literally just told not to touch Daphne, and at this point you think this is Daphne. But apparently Typhon, who doesn't do too much while she's there, after Subaru grabs her hand, she rips off his arm, like, without even really doing any movement. And then shatters him into pieces. And then all of a sudden she's just gone and replaced with another of the witches. Because why not? We get the Witch of Wrath, Minerva, who is just a tsundere. Like, let's be honest. Personality wise, she's exceptionally a tsundere. And she's interesting because she's a healer, which is like, I know obviously the witches of the seven deadly sins here are going to be different than like the seven deadly sins homunculi in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But it's like automatically that is where my mind goes to make the comparison. And Wrath in Brotherhood was an, a pretty angry person, but he was also very serious, very strong. He was a warrior, a military tactician, things you could imagine for Wrath, basically. But a healer? It's like, okay. And she's so tsundere about it, too. It's like, not what I would have expected, but she does seem like she was, like, angry. Like, that much I got. But it's like, it was weird and unexpected. But at that point, it was also super unexpected just because of all the, like, overflow of all these witches appearing suddenly. But she heals Subaru, and then she goes and is replaced actually this time by Daphne. So I assume Minerva only appeared to heal Subaru after what Typhon did to him. That Daphne allowed her to go in the place during that moment just to heal him first. So Daphne, like Typhon, is in the form of a young girl, but she's kind of restrained in this. It looks like a casket. And I wonder if anyone else thought of this, but the instant I saw her, my first thought went to the Night Mother from the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim. I don't know if anyone else thought of that when watching this, but that's instantly what my first thought was. And especially later on because Subaru calls her mother in reference to the Maybeasts and everything. So it's like, that was just like a really fun comparison I drew up. But Daphne is the Witch of Gluttony, and we can definitely see that really easily. She definitely has a strong hunger about her. We see her teeth are very much in the same shape as the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony that we met at the beginning of the season. The mouth almost looks identical, I would say. Or at least very similar from what I remember. So there's definitely that strong comparison there. So I'm wondering if the Sin Archbishop, or if the Sin Archbishop of what was the other guy? Was he Wrath? No, I don't remember what the other guy was. But I'm wondering if he's similar in any way to his witch as well. And I'm wondering if that means Petalgeist is similar to the Witch of Sloth, who we haven't met yet. That's one of the two witches we haven't met, Sloth and Lust. But Daphne agrees to give out some info. We find out that the three great Maybeasts were created and put on the put in this world. Because again, this isn't Subaru's world, so I don't really want to call it Earth. But they were put in this world as food, weirdly enough. The Witch of Gluttony, Daphne, put them in the world to be food for the people. But her belief is that it is better, that food is better enjoyed if there's a threat of the food eating you back, which is like, what? I mean, she's a crazy ass witch of a seven deadly sins, so it's like we can, I guess, just accept her insanity. But yeah, so she believes that because of that, she wanted to make these creatures basically as strong and dangerous as possible. And even believes we see that that a normal human, that a mere human, wouldn't be able to take them all out. Which kind of leads into my thought, like, even though she says that the white whale is the physically strongest, it does lead me to believe that the other two are just in total more dangerous. And we have gotten confirmation of at least of the great rabbit in this episode, because the great rabbit's power, I guess you could say, comes from its voracious appetite and its just insane numbers due to, being a fucking rabbit. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense that because of that, it would technically be stronger, just not physically so, than the white whale. And the black serpent, it's like, I could see a few ways they could make the black serpent be even worse. But we'll just have to wait to see how that ends up going now. But Daphne gives out this info because she believes as well that part of, like, the idea of hunting for food includes killing and everything, which, yeah, obviously. And since she put the Maybeasts, the three great Maybeasts on in this world to be eaten, it's like, so she's fine with them being hunted, even if she doesn't believe that a mere human could do so. So that was interesting. And after she heads off and Echidna returns, there's like a little last few words. Echidna, in payment for Subaru keeping his memories when he leaves, she takes, I guess, the meaning or something behind the handkerchief that he was given by Petra. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, what that was all about. But because she even said, it's like, it's not going to affect the handkerchief in the real world. So it's like, what's going on here? You're just taking, like, the kind of the point of it, the idea of the handkerchief. I don't know. But then Subaru goes back and he reawakens in the real world, and that's when all the shit goes down with Satella. So yeah, and Garfield's actually the one to save him, which is fun considering in the last life Garfield was trying to kill him. But I mean, it's fucking Satella, so I think Gar could see that Subaru wasn't with her or anything. Again, though, just such a holy fuck moment. The big bad, the biggest bad, the witch who killed all the other witches. The one who's been built up since the beginning of the series to be the final boss, to be the big final enemy. And she's here, actively here. And by the way, when she's repeating to Subaru, "I love you," over and over in that creepy tone, and then she gets close and just the audio changes, it becomes so much more crisp and clear and loud when she says that last "I love you" basically in his ear. That was chilling. Like, I rewatched that when I was actually looking for what I was going to use as the thumbnail. Between recording that and this, obviously you can see from the thumbnail that it is Satella that I settled on. But I rewatched that scene real quick, and God, it just, that was intense. Let's just put it that way. Because this series has done a lot to make its villains seem intimidating, whether it be Elsa, or Petal Goose or whoever else. It's made a point of showing us how frightening the enemies can be, or even characters who aren't even technically enemies, like Puck. We've seen how frightening Puck can be, but despite all that, Satella just, she won the award for frightening. Like I said, that sent chills up my spine. That was perfection with House. And it was just, it was a simple line. It was a simple repeated line that had been said a few times before that. She just kept repeating it before that, but it's just when she leaned in close like that, and just again, the change in audio is what did it. It was the change in audio, along with just the voice acting of whoever's voicing Satella. Um, that is what caused it to be that impactful. Like that audio change made that scene. I kind of want to go back and look at their reaction to see if I actually like if I reacted in any like strong way to that specific moment. Like if I like shivered or anything, because I felt like I did, and I definitely did rewatching it. So I don't even know if that would show on camera. um, but it's like again, it's just I can't stress enough how shook I am over her appearance here. It's just it's such a big fucking deal because of everything that had been built up with her. It's like Subaru said. She had been people had been continuously telling him about her over and over. So it's like he kept hearing about her. So it's like we got to see that. We got to see all these different characters giving us this information or just seeing how they react or talk about the witch of envy. We've got all this build up, and to actually see her in the flesh and her presence, by God, her presence, the way she appears, the way she moves, the hooded cloak is perfect. You could see the silver hair underneath, matching Amelia's. Um, Again, the voice acting, the shadow covering everything in the sanctuary. It's like yes, everything here is so perfectly handled that it makes you understand that this witch, unlike all the others we've seen in this episode, and Echidna, who we've been seeing this entire season, that this specific witch, Satella, even more so than just because of what we already knew about her, this makes us understand how fucking dangerous she is. And it is frightening. It is it's scary. It's legitimately just scary. Not in a horror way, but in a like way like you understand her power, you understand her presence, you understand her you get why all of these people are so fucking afraid of her. You get why she's become this kind of mythological figure in the world. And even though you don't agree with it like at all and you don't believe it's right, you understand that the people are so fucking afraid of her. You get that that's why they are so against half elves, why the racism exists there. It doesn't excuse the racism. The racism is still evil and horrible and disgusting, but you understand where it came from now. And you still want to see it expunged. You still want to see that racism just be completely expunged from the world because you should. If you don't, then something's fucking wrong with you. You can fuck off, but still, you can understand where something evil comes from without excusing that something evil. It's like with this isn't really comparable to racism, but it's like with the Joker movie. Like the movies, the 2019 Joker movie. Um, it's like it makes you understand where this version of the Joker comes from and why he's evil and insane, but it does not excuse his evil and insanity. It still makes very clear that he's the bad guy. He's not meant to be seen as tragic. He is evil. But it just shows us why he's evil. It explains, but it does not excuse. That's how I view it. And it's kind of the same here. Just a very, very different type of scenario, obviously. And it's just, I'm sorry, it's just that is how legitimately frightening and just scary and just intimidating she is. The animators, the voice actor, the sound designers, everyone who worked on that scene, who worked on making that as well done as it was. Huge fucking kudos to you. Like I said, that was easily the biggest moment in this series so far. And without question, honestly changes everything. Now, I don't think that this means that Elsa's working for Satella. I don't think that at all. I think Elsa's working for someone else that we probably just haven't met yet. This is different. I'm thinking Satella is there because of Subaru meeting all of these other witches. Echidna was one thing. He's already met Echidna. But because he just suddenly met most of the other witches in one go like this, I think it somehow alerted Satella to all of this. And I think she's starting to take immediate action herself. What that actually means, I don't know, because according to what we've been told in this episode as well, Satella is apparently like the entire return by death thing is to keep Subaru from basically doing anything that would halt his destiny or whatnot, doing anything that would keep him from that, but that everyone else is expendable. Which kind of goes in line with the entire I love you, I love you, I love you thing with Satella. She has a vested interest in him and only him. And she's trying to lead him into fulfilling something. Don't know what yet, but maybe we'll find that out as we continue along. But without question, this just got 100 times more interesting. Like, the stuff with the sanctuary, even the stuff with the mansion and Elsa and all of that, completely pales in comparison to what this episode gave us with the witches. And I'm going to be checking out to see other people's reactions to this. I know SOS Bros did a reaction to this for sure. I know they've been reacting to this. Ruff has been kind of reacting to this series, but I don't think he has all of those reactions up for some reason. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. I think he has like some reactions for the second core up, but I think he only has a couple reactions for the beginning of the first core, and I don't know why. But I'll try to find some other reactions for this episode because I definitely want to see how other people reacted to the witches, and especially Satella. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think about it? What did you all think about this massive reveal episode? Getting to meet all these other witches, with only 2 still remaining unseen. And again, being lost in sloth. I do not know where this is going to go now, because again, this changes everything. So tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.